Hi Haleb is a team effort by Sagatel Basil, a writer and activist from Aleppo based in Sweden. Houry Pilibosyan, a software developer, history enthusiast from Aleppo, now based in Lebanon. Rajni Avakian, a psychologist from Yerevan, based in Sweden, who is the only non-Aleppo person in our team. And Hovsep Markaryan, an MA Cultural Studies graduate and a writer from Aleppo based in Yerevan. Hovsep is a founding member, but no longer part of the team. And myself, a social anthropology graduate student, researcher, photographer from Aleppo, currently based in London. Before I start, I want to give you a brief history about the Armenian existence in Aleppo after the Armenian genocide. In the early 20th century, the vast majority of Armenians who arrived in Aleppo settled in the old city in Al-Jdeide neighborhood, and most of them started to open up their businesses in the area. After that, they started expanding throughout the city, especially in the neighborhoods of Al-Midan, or in Armenian known as Norkur, Suleymaniye, Aziziye, and the Vilat neighborhoods. I will expand more on the neighborhoods later, but this is just to give you an idea of what I will be talking about, especially when it comes to the streets. So a couple of years ago, when COVID came into our lives, we suddenly found ourselves quarantining at home. That's when new activities started to come to surface. And one of these activities was extensively talking more about culture and ethnography. Sagatel and I were part of a group called Aleppo Antica, or Antique Aleppo. It's mainly for people from Aleppo who are on Facebook, and the purpose of the group is to collect stories and memories from Aleppo. This is when we noticed the lack of Armenian presence in the group. Sagatel started to write posts about Armenians and made lists of Armenian-owned shops, but there was no response in the comments section. After having long conversations, we realized that one of the problems behind this passive participation of the Armenian members in the group was the language barrier. All the group content was in Arabic, and most Armenians didn't feel at ease expressing themselves in Arabic. This is when the idea of Hi Haleb came to life. After endless Zoom calls between Sagatel, Harut, Rajni, Hovsep, and I, we launched Hi Haleb as a Facebook group in May 2020. We have a clear manifesto and a set of rules for the group. The purpose of the group is to create a platform for Aleppo Armenians where they can share stories, memories, even photos and videos. Through this aspect, we aim to construct an archive, and I will expand a bit on that later. And we have a key rule in the group is to avoid talking about politics, especially Armenian political parties in Aleppo, because once this topic pops up, people turn on each other and the purpose of the group gets sabotaged. We also don't accept any religious posts, good morning and good night posts, which are the types of posts that have been posted in previous Aleppo Armenian groups on Facebook before. Basically, our posts are limited to Aleppo's culture, social history, and present times. Using this mechanism helps us filter out content and focus on the areas of research that we want to achieve. The bigger picture is to why we wanted to create this group goes back to our own struggles with finding information about Aleppo Armenians. Over the past decades, most of the information available online about Aleppo is related to war. But before the war, there were almost no serious attempts to record the Armenian presence in Aleppo. Even in terms of numbers, we don't have a clear idea of how many Armenians lived in Aleppo. According to the Prelacy, the Arachnortaran, there were around 50,000 Armenians before the war, and after the war, 10 to 15,000 moved mainly to Lebanon and Armenia. A large number then migrated to Canada, Europe, and Australia. Then again, none of these numbers are official. Also, we could only find records of churches, some organizations, and some schools. Our purpose shaped around focusing on the everyday life of Aleppo Armenians and an attempt to collect the unwritten parts of our history. As a methodology, we decided to go with oral history, since as Spurkahais, diasporans in English, in general, and as Aleppo Armenians specifically, we are populations that can flee, pack up, and leave, and they don't own any sort of an archive. All these stories and the memories are with the people. They are not accessible in any way, and this is where our role becomes crucial in collecting and disseminating this information. It is iconic to mention that it took a war and another wave of migration almost a century later after the genocide to realize the importance of owning and having an archive. Our field is an unorthodox space. It's a Facebook group that we control because we couldn't physically be with one another due to the pandemic. As admins, we each live in different countries, just like our group members who are scattered all over the world. The one thing that we all have in common is that we are all Aleppo Armenians. We first started making lists among the three of us about Armenian shops, cassette stores, bakeries, and I'll be showing you some of the pictures now that we have. And then we started to fill these lists as much as we could. We started posting these lists on Facebook so people could interact with them in the comments. In the beginning, we expected more engagements with the posts. However, we barely got any comments. This is where the issue of lack of public discourse came into play. A simple Facebook post unearthed an issue that has been embedded in the Armenian community of Aleppo for ages: the fear of speaking out, of expressing thoughts and ideas. In this case, even something as simple as the name of a shop owner resurfaced, even though our methodology was trying to break the modes of silences. The next move for us was to start live interviews with the members of the community. We call it an hour with the Halepsi. Halepsi means an Aleppo Armenian. Each Saturday, we invite a member of the community to talk about their life and memories in Aleppo. These interviews are based on photos, just like the ones that you're seeing on the screen. We sit down with the interviewees. We have them rehearse the interview, and we come up with the timeline together of how they want to present their stories through their photos. During the live stream of the interview, we allow people to comment. The nature of the comments is usually greetings to the speaker. Sometimes people mention names or dates that the speaker doesn't exactly remember, and it contributes to their stories. The interviews are live streamed on the group every Saturday as they are taking place, and every Sunday we post them on our YouTube channel. The interviewees not only are the intellectuals of the community, but rather people from all walks of life. We also have had people before in the interviews that are from Armenia who moved to Aleppo at some point in their lives, and they were talking about their memories and experiences as Armenians from Armenia in Aleppo. When for various reasons we missed scheduling these interviews, for a few weeks, we received messages from our community members demanding these interviews. For most of the group members, this had become like a TV show they would anticipate watching every Saturday. These interviews gave people the chance to learn about different types of lifestyles, organizations, schools, trades, and stories they never heard of when they were living in Aleppo. They thus opened a space for a peaceful interaction between people and a genuine interest in Aleppo's Armenian portion of the history. As a result of the interviews, we were able to have more posting ideas and increase overall engagements with the post. One such idea came to us from one of the interviews was that mapping one of Aleppo's streets that I mentioned before that was highly populated by Armenians during the early 20th century. Over the years, that street changed as Armenians started expanding and moving beyond the Jdeide area. As of today, we have around 300 shops mapped out on one street in Jdeide called Tilel Street. It was a collective effort to gather the data about the Armenian-owned shops of Tilel. One of our community members helped us create a map, which the snippet of you're seeing on the screen, where we mention each shop's name, the owner's name, the date of the opening, and the closing. And I will show you an example. So when you click on any of the shops, it will bring out a card ID, and you are able to see the names and the dates and even parts of their story. Some of the shops are still up and running until today. Others have changed over the years, and some of them don't exist anymore. The nature of the map when we first created it was to allow anyone who has information to click on where their shop is located on the map and create their stories. However, due to technical difficulties for our community members, Many of them were not able to add the information, so I would have endless video calls with them to accurately place their family businesses on the map with its story. Some of them would even send me messages of the names of the shops and the shops next to them, written on a piece of paper and photographed as you are seeing on the screen. This slowed down our data entry process, but it allowed us to be flexible because we care about having this information out there. The map only has one street at this point. Its purpose is to visually show the large magnitude of Armenian presence in the area and to archive and document all these shops that were never recorded anywhere else before. The data collection process also included written posts around different topics relating to the community. For example, recipes, traditions, celebrations, vocabulary, and memories such as what was one remember about a certain space. We categorized these posts using different hashtags and topics so that in the future, when people want to find content of a certain topic, they can search the list of hashtags and it will bring up all related posts. The members would engage through comments or by directly messaging any of us as the admins of the group. In some posts, we ask our members to post pictures from certain years or specific venues and places in Aleppo. The question of consent is very important to us, and it's important to highlight here. We have made a tutorial video explaining what consent is and how these pictures can be used after they are posted in the group. We have highlighted the fact that Facebook is also involved in the consent aspect of posting these photos, since Facebook's terms and conditions mentions that when a photo is posted as a public photo, then it is open to sharing unless it is copyrighted by the person who is posting it. This is important for us because most of these photos and stories are coming from our members' personal archives. On another note, we recently started noticing more community engagement from our members who became very active in certain areas of Hi Haleb. Pakrat Balabanian, who's a mapping expert, offered to create the map and the interface for our interactive map. Matik Ebligatian, a writer and a publisher, who helped us fill out the missing information in our list of Armenian shop. Matik also spent endless hours with me to find the exact locations of the shop on the virtual map. We spent almost more than 20 hours with the list, and he helped me accurately place them. All of this amounts to one of our goals that we have tried to achieve, namely to create a community. As mentioned, there has been a major divide in Aleppo's Armenian community along political lines. We have tried to bridge the gap through people's stories and memories. As of today, we have around 5,000 members who are living in 50 different countries around the world. Our engagement rate with the posts is over 85%. Even though we have passive members, the outreach of the posts and the content is beyond what we expected. We have also gained offline recognition. For example, I have been stopped by strangers when I was living in Yerevan and asking me if I am the woman from Hi Haleb's team. Through talking to people, whether it's through comments, private messaging, or live interviews, we have discovered new faces of Aleppo that we never knew anything about. For example, one of our latest discoveries are disco and jazz bands that not many people know about. Using the map to add all this information is giving us the chance to zoom in and out of the city, and also to zoom in and out of how much we know about Aleppo from an Armenian perspective. Of course, we have come across many limitations that have affected the way Hi Haleb works. Language is a key component and one of the main reasons why this initiative and this research started in the first place. We thought that by writing the posts in Western Armenian, people would be encouraged to open up and participate in a language that makes them feel more comfortable. We highly encouraged people to feel free to express their thoughts in Armenian script or transliterate them using the Latin alphabet to write in Armenian. However, there's still resistance in the group about writing in Armenian script. We have faced many cases where someone would write a lengthy comment only to be criticized and attacked by other group members for their poor knowledge of Western Armenian script. This has discouraged many people from writing and participating and sharing information, which links back to the issue of the Armenian and specifically Western Armenian usage in public spaces, and how this is socially and politically constructed. The nationalistic effect from both living in Syria and its politics and the politics within the Armenian community has left people constrained. Many find it hard to express their thoughts and opinions in public. Instead, the opinions they are allowed for them to have are pre-constructed by the political parties that they are affiliated with. The silences around basic and simple questions such as where did you go to school are very, very loud. These questions become loaded because in Aleppo, when you're asked this question, they want to know your and your family's political affiliation. Given the proliferation of Armenian schools and belonging to different political factions. Also, this makes us question our methodology and the aspect of collecting these stories. For example, we keep asking ourselves questions like how should we find different ways to approach these issues? What kind of wording should we use for these questions? Eventually, after building a connection and establishing trust between us as a team and our members, we were able to get some of these questions answered, but we are still trying and troubleshooting with them. Another aspect of our limitations is the lack of young participants in the group. When we first started, we expected more young people to join because they are more tech savvy and be active parts of the community. However, as of now, the largest age group we have on the group is people who are age 45 and more. This may also be due to the fact that the younger generation is migrating from Facebook to Instagram and other platforms, which leaves them out of our main demographic. Due to the age of our participants, most of them face technical difficulties in terms of commenting and engaging with the content, sometimes even watching the videos. And as I mentioned before, the information of adding their shops to the map. We are still troubleshooting and trying to find the best ways to make the information available and accessible to everyone. At the same time, all of this takes up more time than we originally anticipated and sets us back in terms of what we want to achieve within the group and its posting calendar. Even though the largest number of our members are in Aleppo, we still cannot do live interviews with them. In fact, we generally have less participation from Aleppo, first because of all the reasons I mentioned above, and second, due to the lack of electricity and slow internet. People need to use a VPN to access some of the apps, which makes it impossible for them to be able to stay connected all the time. Lastly, all of the work that we do in Hi Haleb is volunteer work. For that, we lack consistency in posting or interviews because all of us work or study or do both. We do all the work for Hi Haleb in our free time, and sometimes our busy lives take over and causing us to miss out on posting or hosting an interview. We even had to face some financial troubles as well when we needed to buy a Zoom account where Saratel used his own money, got the problem. And all of these issues keep interfering with our research process and sometimes even shadow us from moving forward. Like I mentioned before, Hi Haleb is still a work in progress. It's not a published work. We have been working on it for almost 2 years now. So our long-term plans for Hi Haleb include creating a website where we can start uploading the information that we have collected for a wider public. As a team member, I am fascinated with the work that Houry does. Houry's work is focused on recreating Ottoman Armenian village and town life. I can see Hi Haleb going down that road. As a first step, we are now in the process of collecting, categorizing, and archiving the findings that we have. For some posts, we need to polish the content, fix the small grammatical errors, and put them in the forms of articles, films, podcasts on our website. The website would serve as a hub where anyone who wants to find information about Aleppo Armenians can find these articles, historical visual material, as well as content. And we will also create a section where you can actually reach out to to people who are involved in the process. The next step would be to create an archive for people by people. Since no such formal archives exist, this becomes a community effort to try to construct one and make it as diverse as possible. The various challenges we face range from updating such a site to including Aleppo Armenians' stories from all walks of life to adhering the ethical guidelines, while at the same time keeping engagement as democratic as possible. Finally, Hi Haleb can serve as a reliable source for researchers, academics, artists, or anyone who's interested to use the material of the archive and add their findings to it. Thank you.